Hello, my name is Appetizer.
My name is Dr. Meseret.
Thank you for joining us to watch our show, The Appetizer, under our channel ImagEnatioN. Today, we are excited to present to you an interview conducted by a guest host who happened to be our own pre-med college student. She is interviewing two of our college juniors. We are very proud of whom they have become, both the interviews and the interviewer. I'm really excited, Dr. Bini, because one of our missions is to involve our new generation. As we indicated numerous times, we will not rest until we pass the baton to our young generation.
Of course, Tsagga. Our youth and adults are the engine of the Eritrean community. We will not have a vibrant diaspora Eritrean community and a sustainable future without them.
Yes, indeed, Dr. Bini. Our guest for today will be introduced and interviewed by our own bright college student, Sallina Yahdogo. Sallina Yahdogo is an upcoming senior at UCLA and is finishing up her final undergraduate years as pre-med. Sallina is majoring in psychobiology and minoring in global health. She is also a Chancellor Blue and Globe Scholar, as well as Kane Scholar. Outside of academic, she is an artist, a singer, mentor, and an active member of the Eritrean Los Angeles community. Her main passion is medicine, specifically family medicine, and Sallina hopes to become a physician and help aid the future generation in healthcare, and aspire to bring awareness on mental health communities, both local and abroad. Thank you for joining us for the program. Sallina, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Mama Tsagga, and thank you, Dr. Bini. I'm honored to be a part of the ImagEnatioN team, and I'm excited to be a guest host for today's show on The Appetizer. Thank you for trusting me to be a guest host, to interview some of our energetic youth, and for allowing me to contribute to our widespread community. Mama Tsagga and Dr. Bini have a vast amount of projects in store for you, and I'm humbled to be a part of the progress. Appetizer's guests for today are two inspiring, exquisite young women who I'm honored to call my two friends, and are twin daughters of the graceful Mama Tsagga herself. Twin sisters Meseret and Merhawit, otherwise known as Mercy and Merha, are rising juniors at the University of San Francisco and have been very involved on campus. Starting with Meseret. Meseret is majoring in communication studies with double minor in entrepreneurship and innovation of health sciences. She also serves as a mentor for the Magis Emerging Leadership Program, social outreach chair for the Ethiopian Eritrean Students Association, and she's also treasurer for the African Student Association. She's pursuing a career in health communications and public relations. Merhawit is majoring in international studies with a minor in architecture. She is part of the honors college at the university she's in, and she also serves as a peer advisor in the international studies department, an orientation team member, events coordinator for the African Student Association, and she's also the vice president for the Ethiopian Eritrean Student Association. Outside of school, Merhawit is also a fellow in Management Leaders for Tomorrow, and Merhawit hopes to work in the sustainable development and environmental justice field. And both sisters are also National Medical Fellowship Scholarship recipients and former youth ambassadors for the city of Los Angeles. Merhawit and Meseret, it's so good seeing you both. And thank you for allowing me to sit here to chat with you. And I'm so honored to be interviewing you both today.
Thank you so much. We're so excited to be here to sit with you and have a conversation.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And also thank you to our hosts, our mom, Tsagga and Dr. Bini, for this opportunity.
Awesome. So let's get started. And I want to start the conversation off with your college experiences. So my first question, when did you first start college? How did you or did you manage to deal with college, your family, and your friends, and also the COVID-19 pandemic all at the same time?
Well, I guess I can start. So for us, we were lucky enough to be able to start college in 2019 before the pandemic even started. So we got to know, our really cool roommates, meet some really cool people, have new experiences in a new city before we had to come home, which was a big change. I feel like we were already changing so much in college. Coming back home was a big adjustment. We started taking online classes like everyone else, and trying our best to adapt to the virtual environment was pretty difficult, but we're lucky that we had each other, we weren't alone, and we just supported each other through it. We were trying to be patient with each other since we were always in the same place together taking classes, both stressed out. But it ended up working out once we figured it out, once we started going outside actually. So yeah, that was my experience.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Meseret said. And I also feel like a lot of people that I've talked to have related to these feelings. It's not just us, and I know that for sure. And it's kind of like we left home, okay, we have an unprecedented amount of independence that we've never experienced outside of the house. And then we come back home and to an unprecedented amount of restrictions that we have to live under. So there's no way that that's easy for anybody on top of everything else that we also had to deal with. And it really helped me and my family, my beautiful sister and my mom, to sit down and kind of just talk about how we were feeling and not bottle anything up, because you probably know with your family you can tend to take stuff out on each other when that's not really the problem. So we kind of talked together and kind of developed boundaries around the house. Like, this is what would make me comfortable. This is the space that I need, and respecting each other's boundaries too.
You guys are your support system, and it must be great having a twin sister as your partner along your academic journeys. But it may also be open to assumptions or also stereotypes people have about being identical twins, sometimes portrayed as a good thing and other times not so great. So this leads me to my next question. What are some assumptions people have about being identical twins? And can you recount any remarkable inferences you've had when growing up?
Yeah, well, one of the questions that we get almost every day, which sometimes I just can't believe people are still asking this, is if like we can feel each other's pain or like read each other's mind. Unfortunately, I hate to break it to you, that's not how it works at all. She is my best friend, and we spend a lot of time together. So I do think that sometimes I can kind of guess what she's thinking, or like my empathy for her is a bit stronger, I guess, than maybe it is towards other people. Yeah. So I guess maybe in that sense I can sort of guess what she's thinking. But on a more serious note, an assumption that people have is that we're the same person, or that we share the same interests, or have the same beliefs, which is not true. Especially as we get older, we start developing a little different views of the world, of each other, of ourselves. And I think that if you get a chance to know us individually, you can definitely tell the difference just by looking at us, by talking to us. So I think that's how the assumptions that I understand from what people tell us.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I know it can be hard to not compare us, but we're two completely separate people, completely different beliefs, and we share similar experiences and beliefs, obviously, and obviously a birthday too. But we're complex and unique in our own ways. And I feel like whenever we express this to anyone, sometimes they may see it as us being ungrateful or not valuing the blessing that is being a twin, but that's not the case at all. It's just that I think that being a twin is a gift from God, but it's not healthy for anyone to view us as one thing, or having the twin, oh my God, they're twins, like the only thing that defines us.
Right. I get you guys. Yeah. And although you may have some of the same passions and interests, you do things differently. But the beautiful thing about it is that you guys are each other's counterparts. And I think it's a pleasing thing to see. And being a twin is also part of your identities, but I'd like to know more about how you identify yourselves as, specifically your race and your ethnicities. So my next question for you two is, what does being Eritrean American mean to you? And when did you learn you belong to such identities? And can you name any specific ways your Eritrean identity, Eritrean American identity, manifests in your life?
Yeah, well, I think for both of us, our parents have always raised us with an understanding of our Eritrean identity. We always knew that that's where our family's from, that's where we originate. So they speak about Eritrea with so much pride and love that I think it just translated to us, especially when we were little, going to weddings, just seeing the culture, like from a distance, I guess, like not feeling connected. Because me and Merhawit don't speak Tigrinya.
We're working on it.
Yeah, we are working
on it. I am too.
And we've never been to Eritrea, so we just started to fall in love with it through the stories our family would tell us. So we did feel a little disconnected, but in high school, we started taking the time to learn about Eritrean history, started being more curious about just the different viewpoints that people may have about our country. And we wanted to share the story of Eritrea with as many people and friends as we could, so we would always take our friends out to eat injera, encourage them to ask questions, and yeah, it's just something we've fallen in love with more as we learned about it.
Yeah, and we know that there's such strength and hope in the Eritrean community, and we've always loved that. It's always amazing to me to think about how there's heroes walking around us. We all have parents or family members who were part of the struggle for independence for Eritrea, which was the longest war in Africa, and we won against all odds. But I think it's normal for first-gen kids to kind of struggle with balancing their identities in the diaspora, and I try my best to learn as much as I can and teach others along the way. And actually in high school, to kind of like create a space for not just Eritrean Americans, but Americans of like first-generation Americans from African descent, to feel connected to their cultures and feel like they had a place to share it. We both started African Cultural Awareness at Culver City High School, shout out Centaurs, and it was kind of a place for people to bring their food or like share their music and kind of teach and learn, which I think is something that's really important to the both of us. And we also think sorry, I'm not going to speak for both of us. I also think, and do you agree with me?
I do.
That the way that it's also important for us to learn about African American history in this country and the culture, because we directly benefit from it. We have to acknowledge it, and it is part of our own history because the opportunities that we have in this country are because of the Black struggle.
Absolutely.
So I think it's important for us to acknowledge that too and be proud of both sides of our identity as being Eritrean American and Black in America. It's nothing that you can't be proud of. So.
Yeah. Wow, that's truly fascinating. Your ethnicity helps assist in your lives, and it's also great to hear you're incorporating your Eritrean American identities while also actively participating and giving back to your communities, like bringing more cultural awareness to your schools, which is something your girls should be proud of. Which leads me to my next question. But I'd like to start off by telling you, I remember when I was taking one of my psych courses in undergrad, I learned in that class that as people, we tend to be risk adverse to potential gains in our lives. So meaning we tend to outweigh our losses and our failures more than we tend to weigh our gains and successes. So my next question is, what are you most proud of about yourselves? Or can you explain a time when you most felt proud?
I guess it's kind of hard for me to think of a single moment that I'm most proud, but I can think of like instances that I'm proud of myself. So naturally, I'm very introverted and quiet. I just am not used to, or like naturally won't be the first person to speak or raise my hand in class. But every time I get a chance, I'll try and put myself out there just to kind of push myself and see what comes of it. And so in little ways, like I'll try and approach someone first at a social event. In my brain, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you right now, you're doing this. Or I'll raise my hand first in class. I'm trying to like remember to celebrate like the little victories, even if it may not be a big deal to other people. It's a big deal for me. So I just want to acknowledge that for myself. So those are my proudest moments.
Yeah. And I'm most proud of myself for getting through this past year and a half. And I think everyone should be proud of themselves for that, because we managed to live through such unprecedented times, and I know the three of us have thrived. So as an individual, I'm so happy that I tried so many different things, and I managed to do well in school too. And as a community, we were also able to cater to each other and help each other out during this hard time, which I'm very, very proud of. Whether it was educating each other about COVID-19 pandemic with other businesses, learning how to open up, or educating each other about the COVID-19 vaccine so that we could all get vaccinated together. We talked about and encouraged each other to talk about mental health, and I just am so proud of us as a community.
Yeah. Meseret, I would love to point out how you mentioned you're most proud of yourself when you put yourself in uncomfortable situations, because you're stepping out of your comfort zone, which is sometimes, it could be anxiety taking and can cause ease, yet you're most prone to achieving your goals and reaching success when you put yourself in those unsettling situations. Which is why it's important not to always beat yourself up if things aren't going your way, or when you're feeling overwhelmed. Like you mentioned, Merhawit, our resilience through a pandemic should make us proud. And yeah, because the struggle is real. So this leads me to my next question. So how do you guys find time to recharge? Or what are some ways you limit feeling burnt out or stressed? And what does self-care look like for you both?
Well, for me, like I said, I'm really introverted. So sometimes I need time to recharge, especially after like a lot of stress from school or maybe like a lot of social interactions. I just need my quiet time, so I love being alone. It gives me a moment to like reflect, check in with myself, come into terms with what I'm feeling, so that it doesn't all bubble up and I don't yell at Merha or anything if I don't mean to. I think that one of my favorite things more recently, especially since it started getting hot, is like to go to the beach and walk. We're so lucky that we live in Southern California, so we have easy access to the beach. And I also like going hiking with my friends, being around people who love and support me and who I love and support. I love eating out with my friends or like cooking at home with my friends. That's a really good way that I like to recharge, de-stress.
Yeah, I definitely feel the beach. We always go to the beach, and it's my safe place, or just being out in nature in general. Kind of give you perspective on what's going on and give you a chance to maybe meditate. But I've also really gotten into art and painting, and I know you are an artist too, over quarantine, and I am not good at it in any way, shape, or form, not yet. But I'm working on it, and I think it's really freeing. And I also think that before the pandemic, I used to think that there was no time for like creativity, because I was always so busy, or with school, or like had to have time to do self-care. But it's really important to prioritize yourself, and there's always time for you to take time for yourself. You just need to make an effort to make that time. So I'm trying to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Now you both mentioned you love going to the beach, so I have to ask, any beach recommendations here in California?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is Santa Monica. We're creatures of habit, or at least I am. So once I find a place that I like, I tend to stick with it. And we just have a lot of positive memories associated with Santa Monica, just with like our family. So that's, I think, my first choice. And plus, we can just take the metro straight there. Don't have to worry about parking.
Exactly. We also love Malibu if we want to go for a drive. But actually, funny story, our mom's water broke at Marina Beach. So we think that's why we love the beach so much. Yeah, it was calling us, so her water broke. What
a coincidence. Well, I've been to Santa Monica. I love it there, but I need to check out Malibu. It does give me Hannah Montana vibes, so definitely check it out. But I 100% agree with you both. You mentioned and you shared a great number of ways to recharge, which I will be implementing to my own self-care acts. And I hope the viewers watching at home were able to take some notes as well. So let's move on to our next question. So, who are your biggest role models, and who do you look up to the most?
So the first person that came to my mind is Michelle Obama, which I feel is normal for girls in our generation, just because we were lucky enough to grow up with her in the White House. And she just showed so much strength for her 8 years as First Lady, fighting for women all over the world. And I also just read her book, Becoming, so it's like fresh in my mind. But my role models are also just strong women in my family And as Eritrean Americans, we don't really have to look too far to find good role models. There's so many amazing women to look up to. And even young people like you, Sallina, who are a little bit older than us, we can look up to. Y'all kind of pave the way for us and show us what we can emulate. And I think that's why it's so important for us to have a show like this, to feel comfortable sharing our stories. Even though you might not think you did anything important, you never know who you're inspiring. And our experiences can kind of help each other and inspire each other. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, the first person that pops in my head is my mom. She's my biggest role model and the biggest influence in my life. She's the most loving, hardworking, ambitious person that I know. And she's not afraid to be herself 100% of the time, which is what I strive to be. If you need anything done, you call Tsegahapte, I promise you it will get done. I've never seen anything like it. But like Merha said, we are really lucky that we have a lot of strong, powerful women in our family and in our lives. Both like in our family and in our extended family, like through church, through the community. If we want advice on school, there's somebody to go to. Or there's somebody to look to. If we want to, think about, what do I want my family to look like in the future? We just look to our sister or our cousins. So yeah, we're very blessed in that sense.
Yeah. And you both are so inspirational. And despite our 1-year age difference, there's no doubt when I say I look up to you both, and you guys are my role models.
Thank you.
And your leadership and your drive for bettering our community is uplifting, but of course, the road to get to where you are now wasn't easy, and I'm sure you learned a lot, and you're still learning a lot of lessons throughout the way, every day to become better individuals. So this leads me to my next question. What's a word of advice that you'd give to your high school self before starting college? Or do you have any potential words of advice for the youth watching at home?
Yeah, I think that a lot of young people always feel a lot of pressure to achieve things at a certain time frame or keep up with everyone around them. And don't get me wrong, I think it's good to have goals and be inspired by other people, like we're all inspired by each other. But you need to respect your own journey and trust your own journey and not compare yourself to others too much. And please, if you're struggling, do not hesitate to ask for help. I am so stubborn and I'm working on it. But I have a hard time admitting that I don't know what I'm doing. But I realize that there's so many people who are so willing to help out young people, especially in our community. And the worst thing anyone could say to you is no. And all you have to do is move on, ask someone else. And whatever's meant for you, you will get, but you can never get anything if you don't ask or if you don't try. So I'm still trying to learn for myself, but I guess it just takes practice.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything Merhawit said. But a quote that I have been thinking about and telling people a lot recently is, if you can't beat the fear, just do it scared. There's always going to be something that you're not going to be good at your first try, because nobody is. We're not born knowing how to do everything. But we shouldn't let the only reason that we don't do something be because we're afraid we're going to fail. I think that it's important to remember that we're young, we have that as an excuse if we mess up. So it's important to just put yourself out there. Everything happens for a reason, and you'll learn something from every failure, and you can find a new opportunity in that failure. So.
Right. And like you both mentioned, there are a lot of hardships and pressures that we have to deal with throughout our lives. Like you said, imposter syndrome and just being constantly compared to your peers. Despite the burdens that you both endured, you continue to not lose focus in your ambitions. So this leads me to my next question. What motivates you to keep going, and what keeps you inspired to succeed in your lives?
There's a lot of people in our community and families who have such amazing stories, and they've sacrificed so much for us to have the life that we have. I don't think of it so much as pressure. I used to be so scared to mess up, kind of like what Meseret was saying, because I didn't want to let anyone down. But switch up the mindset and look at it as inspiration. And I want to keep the momentum going that the generations before us gave us, and that they started to make way for generations that come after us.
Yeah, I think for me, it's also what Merhawit is saying, the love and support of our community. Our whole lives, we've always been told that we're the result of a lot of prayer. We were not an accident at all. And so just knowing that and knowing that we have so many people behind us who have like poured so much love into us, so much energy and just time, I feel like I have to remember or like keep those people in the back of my mind and know that like I feel like I have a purpose. I don't know if it's like big or small, but I have to honor that and just, you know, honor everybody's prayers. So I think that's what motivates me.
I just love that for you both. You're truly an inspiration and are so deserving for what's ahead of you. It saddens me that this is my final question, but I'm sure the concluded question is a good one. So, where do you hope to see yourselves in 5 years from now? Possibly, where do you see yourselves in 10 years from now? Whoever's most comfortable can answer first.
Okay, this is a hard one, but I think that it's always easier to like map out your educational journey. I feel like that's always what our parents want us to do. So I know that in my head I want to get a master's degree after I graduate from college in either public health or business. I'm not sure yet. But I want to be a successful businesswoman one day, hopefully, and have a family of my own. I'm not sure the timeline of that, but I think this last year has shown us that life is extremely unpredictable. So I'm just going to take it as it comes, take life as it comes. And I'm also still trying to define success for myself. I'm not really sure what my ultimate goal is, so it's kind of scary but also exciting trying to figure that out. So yeah, that's all I'll say for that.
And I think I'm also still trying to figure out what my life will look like in 5 to 10 years, and that's okay. I thought that I knew what I wanted, but this past year and a half has kind of changed the way that I view things, and like I said, it said what success means for me and not trying to live for other people.
Right.
So I've kind of changed my trajectory, but it's positive, it's good. I'm not freaking out, I promise. But right now, I'm working on actively trying to put myself out there and take advantage of all the opportunities that are given to me. I know that I want to work in sustainable development and environmental justice in some capacity. So now I'm doing my best to explore my possible career options, and I'm working on myself and my own mental health as well as my relationship with God. And I always see myself serving my community, so I'll always be around to help and support.
That's great to hear. I'm excited to see what's in store. And I hope the viewers at home are just as excited as I am to see you both flourish into your bright futures. Meseret and Merhawit, thank you so much for allowing me to ask you your questions and for answering my questions and for sharing more about yourselves. It was great speaking with you both, and it's truly my pleasure taking part in this interview.
Yeah, thanks Sallina for taking the time to, ask us all these questions. This is an awesome conversation.
Yeah, it was really fun talking to you. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you again. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching at home, and I hope to see you all soon. Back to you, Dr. Vini.
Wow, this is wonderful. Thank you, Meseret and Merhawit, and thank you, Sallina. Meseret and Merhawit, best of luck in your future endeavors. We are proud of the three of you. We are proud of you, my colleague Tsaka,
Thank you.
for raising these two very smart and beautiful twins, Meseret and Merhawit. Kudos to you. If I may ask you one question, have you ever got in trouble because you mixed up their names or something worse?
I'll get back to you, Dr. Vini. Well done, Sallina, on a great interview. Thank you, my daughters, for being who you are. As always, I'm so proud of you. Dr. Vini, you want to know what problem I have as a mother of twins? Let me
Yes,
start.
I would love to hear that.
I know. Let me start it when they were babies. So one day, I'm feeding one of the twins 2-3 times, and the other one completely forgot. I go and pick up the same baby again and again from the bedroom.
So you were feeding one and the other was going hungry?
Completely, yes.
Oh.
Yes, that's what happened. But I learned lesson, so I have their name engraved, so I know before I go to feed them, I need to see the name. They were
tag.
looking so much the same. So that was a problem. And another one was the name. I will always mix the name. Instead to call for who they are, I will call for Meseret, Merhawit, for Merhawit, Meseret. And they have also nickname Mercy and Merha. So I came with this, I call them Mercy Merha. And then both of them, they look at me, then I see their face, I know which one is Mercy and which one is Merha. And so they really did not appreciate that I did not know their name. So one day they say, Mommy, until you will do our name right, we will not going to answer you. But
when you're calling them
yeah,
in the wrong way, they say they won't answer.
Exactly.
Okay.
So one day I'm calling them, they just walk and walk. So I say, learn my lesson. So I look their face closely. But now, because of their personality, they are grown up, it's not problem. Two of them, they have two completely different personality.
Of course they do, and that's actually a blessing because they are twins, but at the same time they have their own identity, and that's really, really great. Thank you for sharing, Zaga. That's wonderful.
Thank you. That concludes today's appetizer. Once again, thank you, Sallina. Thank you, Meseret and Merhawit. Our channel followers, thank you for watching. Please leave your comments below and or email us at the address shown on the screen. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We will be back soon with another episode. Thank you
for watching.
نياتي سمايا زعر قلي حملكم تحملي زرحكم زغركم سالكم كويو وغني فناني نياتي سمايا زعر قلي زحملكم تحملي أفزي زبط أحكم تساقير بحري سلاخن ديكونان أبتحت فتاري باتك بحر عقلي باتك تنقصق مئي حنباتي زخونكو أبتسفح كالعي سلاخن ديكونان سلاخن وكاني متمام كيلي متمام كي قبر كلكم بيت البحر عقلي بيت تنقصق مئي حنباتي زخونكو أبتسفح كالعي سالهم بيكونان سالهم وقاني متمام كيلي متمام كي قبر كلكم أنا نسخم زللاي أنا نسخم زللا معر ولا لا